ButcherBox right now is offering new members a free grilling bundle, and that bundle is awesome. With your first order,
as an analyst, you shouldn't be talking about the judging anyways. It's not your job to judge the fight from the side, because when you are as an analyst on the side, okay, the reason why I'm gonna go this way right now is
go ahead.
You're in a different situation.
Thank you.
That's what my point
but
is.
I hate
is
it.
that I agree with you. You're put in a different situation because of the rules and the judging and all the things that you were a part of for so long, from the beginning of the sport. And so with DC and with Paul Felder, with myself included, when I was working side by side with you, we shouldn't be talking about the judging. Now, if you want to break it down in terms of, hey, that shot really rocked him, and the judges, I don't know, in terms, sometimes judges can't see it from that angle. And I'm going to give it, the reason why I'm going to say that is I sat next to Mike Bell in the Yoel Romero fight. And there was moments in that fight where I was like, or sorry, not the Yoel Romero fight, but the MVP Storley fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat next to him for that fight, and I was looking where Mike Bell was sitting, and their back was to us. I couldn't see how hard the shots were that were landing, but then if I looked down at the monitor, I couldn't see it there either. So what is he looking at? He's get the same damn angle from there, from here. Why doesn't he have a different angle on the monitor? I was looking at the ass, and he was looking at the ass in both directions, and I'm sitting right next to him. Yeah. So it's not really our job as an analyst, myself being included, DC, Paul Felder, any other analyst that works next to them, okay, Randy Couture at PFL, anybody. It's not our job to analyze the fight in terms of the judging aspect. Like DC said, we shouldn't be judging the fight, but we should be saying this fighter needs to get this done from point A to point B against B fighter. I need to see him create more distance, okay, to land the bigger shots. Throw that jab more, stick it in his face, hide his combinations, hide his kicks behind his combinations. You've got to do more of that as an analyst than sit there and judge the fight, because everyone at home now, because like I said, I was here at the gym all day on Saturday, get to watch the fights until the next day. My phone was blowing up with people saying, man, Holly Holm got robbed. She got robbed. And then I went home and I thought Holly Holm lost. I watched the fight. I watched how many times, because when we get into the Luke Thomas conversation, John, and I told you this when we filmed, I said, I thought Holly Holm lost. Every time she pressed Vieira to the fence, she didn't do a lot, okay? Controlling someone against the fence, but nothing's really being done. And you're the one in the dominant position and you're not doing any damage, you're not doing anything. As a judge, I'm thinking to myself, man, you could have done a lot more, but you're not. You're just trying to hold them against the fence. And then the other thing for Vieira, it's kind of her fault too, though, because you should have done more to get your back off the fence. That overhook whizzer, sure, you hit the throw, but you should have done more. After you threw, you didn't get it, break away, make space, throw the combinations, press her to the fence, whatever it is. Okay, but it's not our job to spend that time judging the fight, because then we skew people at home. Like everyone that texts me, oh, she got robbed. They don't fucking know dick about fighting. They only know what they're, they're fans. They don't know about the judging criterias. They don't know that damage comes first. If you're going to talk about who landed the harder shots, I'm sorry. Vieira landed the harder shots. There was plenty of times in that fight where Vieira hit her with a shot and stoned her, or is it stoned her?
Frozen.
What is it?
Froze
her.
Yeah.
She froze her in that spot for a second, and she didn't follow up. That was her own damn fault. That was Vieira's own fault.
That's right.
But Holly was hurt. She was in trouble. That, to me, wins the minute, and sometimes maybe even the rest of the round, if you didn't do anything else. If you just need my thigh and press me to the fence, and I landed that shot where I stoned you for a sec, I won that round. Am I right or am I wrong for talking damage?
No, you're absolutely right. Here's one of the things that people have to think about, and this is, everyone's sitting there and they're dogging the judges, okay? And that's okay. It's easy to do. That's because you've never sat in that chair. You've never, ever been in a position, and DC is exactly the same thing. He's never been in a position where his score counted. And everyone thinks that the judges don't care, all right? I'm telling you right now, they fucking care. They care more than you realize. They do more work than you realize. They talk about each of these rounds, not each of these fights, each of these rounds over and over again. They get on these group texts and they say, all right, I want you to watch this moment. And they'll go on Zooms together, and they do all of this work. To sit there and say that they don't understand the sport, no, you don't understand who they are. A ton of these people are people with black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, have been part of doing things for a long time. Look, in the beginning of MMA, we had a lot of judges that did not belong. All right, I'm just going to say it, straight out. There were people that came from a martial arts background that had nothing to do with anything that was being used in MMA. There were boxing officials that had no idea about anything on the ground. Those people are not still there. Now, I can come up with names that people are going to say, and they'll say they're still there. They've done a lot to try to stay there, and that's all part of their athletic commission deciding that they're going to keep that person in that position. It's not my job to tell them what to do. I've told people what I think is the most important, and you've heard me say it, any person that is in charge of an athletic commission and they're going to put someone's butt in that chair, I tell them all the time, I don't care if you like that person or you hate that person. If that person is someone you hate, but they're the very best person to put in that chair, then that's the person you should be putting in that chair. And if you don't, shame on you, because you're the reason that when someone complains about the fight not being judged correctly, you created it. So when you're looking at this, the one thing I want everyone to realize is, how many times do you watch a fight? Now, and I'm telling you this, just it's honest, you get to see more angles of the fight than any judge does. In our last show in London for Bellator, I asked that the judges could get a bigger monitor, a monitor that was probably about, an 18-inch monitor, diagonally. So it's a big monitor. They all loved it. Why? Because they can look up there, and when it is the back, hopefully they can look down there, and the camera is not the same angle. That's on the director.
Yeah.
But that's what you'll get. But how many times have any of you sat in one spot, watched a fight, not looked down at a phone, not talked to anybody, not done anything except analyze exactly what is going on in the fight? It doesn't happen, and DC can't do that. DC is talking, and as soon as he's talking, I can tell you, look, I have figured this out by doing what I do. Because you're talking, you'll watch something, you'll see it, and you'll forget it. And it makes it very difficult for you to actually score the fight, because there's times when I'll put a score down and then I remember, oh shit, like you said, that fighter got frozen. And god damn, I forgot about that. That happened in like the first 45 seconds of the round, and I forgot about it, and I want to go back and change it, and I can't. But because I'm talking the whole time. And it makes it very difficult for you to come up with sometimes the accurate score that you would like to. But judges are not doing any of those things. They're not sitting there with their phone. 5 minutes, 100% attention on what is occurring. Because if you don't, at those moments that you could miss, could be the difference maker in which way that round will go. I'm going to go to the Rob Font versus Chito Vera, because this is what you're talking about with damage. Rob Font, in the fight with Chito Vera, volume-wise, was lighting Chito Vera up. He was landing way more strikes. He was landing beautiful combinations at times. The first round definitely goes to Rob Font. And the second round, he's winning. And this is where people talk about times. You can't sit there and consider how much time really is going on in the round when it comes to that striking things, and get rid of the strike stats. All of that is bullshit. It doesn't mean a thing, because you can't tell me that those strike stats are exactly the same as far as the power, because power makes a huge difference. When Rob Font is winning the second round of that fight, and he is winning it, and Chito Vera hurts him right near the end of the round, drops him on his ass, and every judge gave the round to Chito Vera because he damaged him. He hurt him. He had what we call a fight-ending sequence, possibly. He wasn't able to finish it, but that fight-ending sequence was the most complete act at trying to finish the fight between both fighters. That's what the judges are going to give. And it happened in the third round, and then it happened again the same way in the 4th round, and it even happened in the 5th round. And you saw the judges consistently give the rounds to Chito Vera based upon damage. He knocked Rob Font off his butt. What judges are looking for when it comes to the striking game, look at knockdowns are your number one thing. But there are 3 types of knockdowns. When I say there's 5 different types of knockdowns, I'll tell you, but 3 locations that you can knock somebody down. You can knock somebody down with a punch, elbow, knee, or kick to the head, right? Or to the body, or you can knock them down with a leg kick that's so powerful it knocks them down, right? Are all those the same? They're all knockdowns. Are they all the same? No, they're not all the same.
Absolutely not.
Can't be.
If I take you off your feet, yeah, but by kicking your leg, that's not the same.
But it's
as if I knocked you down your hand and your ass.
But does it hurt?
Head.
It hurts.
Yes.
But is it the same as I knock you down with the kick to the head? No. The brain runs everything. And if you get knocked down with a shot where you get hit to the head and it puts you down, normally that's saying that you got rocked. The way you fall has a lot to do with what the judges are going to look for. When you fall, do you fall backwards and your hands go out to brace your fall? If that is what's occurring, that's telling the judge, yeah, you got knocked down, but you're still there. Sometimes you'll fall back and you can't brace yourself. You get to a position where your hands are out and you're falling back and nothing you can do because your body's not responding. You've talked all the time about, yeah, I saw that mat coming up. I'm telling myself, put my hands out there. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Not happening. So you have that type of knockdown. You have knockdowns where people go sideways. That's a more severe knockdown because people just don't fall going sideways. They'll fall going backwards much easier than they will fall going sideways. So it's telling you they were disrupted more. Falling forward, huge, is telling you there's a huge disruption in that fighter. So that's going to score big. It might be the end of the fight. So all of these things are what the judges are considering when you're talking about knockdowns, but all knockdowns are not the same. And so
created equally.
But the knockdown is that number one thing. Then you go from knockdowns into heavy strikes and heavy damaging strikes. And when we talk about heavy damaging strikes, we're talking about strikes that you visibly see the effect upon the fighter. You see the shot and Holly, she gets frozen. That's telling you that's a heavy shot. It froze her. You see the stanky leg. You see the wobble and them trying to hold her position. You see them get hit and you see all of a sudden they're circling away. They had been coming forward all this time. Now they're circling backwards and trying to gain distance. All smart. Good job. But it's telling the judge that heavy shot was damaging. Then you'll have heavy blows. Ones that you hear, you see, they hit hard. You don't see that effect that the fighter takes it in. Kind of the difference that we were seeing between Eric Anders and the Iron Turtle in Park. The Iron Turtle was getting hit by shots by Anders that were clean, but there was no reaction. But sometimes Anders was giving that reaction like he was being hurt. It's just the difference that you're seeing in them. Both heavy shots, but one is reacting differently. And so you have those heavy shots that you look, you say, yeah, that's a heavy shot. And then you have what we call the volume strikes. The jabs that, it's a clean, it hits, but there's no effect in the fight. The leg kicks that you don't see the fighter being affected by, that's volume. And so that's your striking elements that you're looking at. And then I'm not going to get into grappling right now, but that's a lot to look at. And when you or anyone else is sitting at home, go 5 minutes and start to chronologically look at that. Don't go by numbers, go by effect. Efficient and effectiveness. What's the effective strikes?
John, there was, I don't know, I can't remember what fight it was, but it was about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. There was a fight that you and I had watched, and we both came back, and I had went one way, I think, and you went the other. And then you went back and watched it again. Mm-hmm. And you said, I had people over, I wasn't really paying attention, and and like, not just me being right, but it was like, you know what? I actually would have went the other way. I can't remember what fight it was, but you said basically, no, I actually would have went the other way. Had I been paying attention, not had people over. He's like, I've learned now. Like you were saying, like I'm done having people over now when I watch fights.
I said that about Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan.
There you go.
That was it.
So it's, you know what I mean? So when you go back and you watch it and you're saying like, okay, yeah, maybe, I think we were talking about the first fight, right? Because rounds 1 through 3 or whatever would have been judged. So I think that we were talking about that
we were
fight.
talking about the second fight, and I think it was round 1 of the second fight, because on our podcast I had come out and I was, this is what I'm talking about. You'll miss things when you are talking and you're going to miss things, and I missed things, and Aljamain. You could take a look at that and say, yeah, Aljamain could definitely have won that round. Peter Yan, if you're looking for the power, Aljamain is moving backwards off of those shots that Peter Yan is throwing, but Aljamain is being efficient with his leg kicks. His volume is there, and the output of Aljamain is above what the output of Yan was. So absolutely, and I said, you know what? When I watch the fights from now on, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to sit there with my friends, because it makes a difference. You're talking, you're bullshitting, and you're not seeing everything. You're not watching everything.
ButcherBox right now is offering new members a free grilling bundle, and that bundle is awesome. With your first order,